We feel like a huge responsibility for all of us as believers is to share the good news of Jesus Christ. And it's a hard thing to do in our culture. It's a hard thing for a church body in a lot of ways. It's a hard thing to do. And what we see here is a ministry that's set up around that whole purpose. The purpose is to get involved in kids' lives in a meaningful way, to really form relationships, to love these kids, and to give them an opportunity to know that there's hope.
One of the great things about Young Life is some of the relationship with the children, watching Patrick with the volleyball team and some of the relationships he's had there.
Young Life was this incredible organization that came to where our kids were. And so I think for us, there's just very few organizations that reach high school kids that we're aware of. Young Life's really the only one, where they go to build relationships with kids where they're at. And through that relationship and the practical examples of loving kids, they introduce them to a relationship with God through Christ.
The investment of both time and money are eternal. There's nothing that can take that away. What we put into it and how God uses Young Life in Dayton just gets multiplied over and over.
And having been in the ministry now and supporting it for over 30 years, we've now seen kids who were 18, 17 years old, who now 30 years later are in their mid and late 40s. They have had children, and those children have now gone through Young Life, and they are now adult leaders or college-age kids that are leading a third generation of kids through Young Life. And I think that's the part that the geometric and the exponential growth that you can see from things that started back in the late 80s, and how now we've got 2 and 3 generations of kids who have been exposed to Young Life. They expose their kids to Young Life, and then just the multiplication that you see from what one individual can do, how many apostles they can create, and then how many of those that just continue to multiply out.
I've been there in the trenches. I've seen hundreds of people's lives changed, if not thousands. I've seen kids' lives changed. I've seen the parents of kids' lives change. I've just seen God work in so many ways that I just don't want to leave.
I think the other thing that a lot of people don't see about Young Life is the focus and the training and the development of the leaders of the college kids who are volunteering to go out and reach out to these high school kids. Our leaders, through the staff members, get training, leadership training, Bible study training. They get public speaking. They learn how to manage club meetings, how to deal with kids, how to organize trips. The leaders get a lot also through Young Life and being put in the position of leadership. And that's something I don't think a lot of people see. They just hear about the high school ministry, but it's a big ministry to the leaders too.
And there's some of the greatest talent in the world in Young Life, both as speakers, and humor and entertainment, music and compassion and inspiration and devotion.
Yeah, the leaders are so important. Just they meet the kids where they're at. The kids don't have to go somewhere to meet these leaders who are being the hands and feet of Christ. Those leaders are in the high school where the kids are at, engaging them during their everyday activities. And the kids can see that these kids care. There's something different about them. The kids are drawn to them and want to know more, and that just opens great doors for them to learn about Jesus.
And I remember, coaching wrestling and going up to the school and thinking, wow, these kids are hurting and lost and have no sense of being forgiven or no purpose in their life. And I kept hearing, these kids have a right to know who Jesus is and that he died for them. And I think that motivated me for a couple of decades. And it's funny now, I'm in my 50s. I'm still a Young Life leader. And when I stand at the fence at the soccer games and I intentionally stand next to these wild, lost kids, I think a little bit that their lives would be better if they followed Jesus. But now there was a new thought in my head that not so much that the kid deserves to know, but I feel like God deserves their worship. He made them and He loves them and He died for them, and He deserves to have a friendship with them. He deserves their worship. And that drives me to go back to one more game and to dismissal one more time and to sit in the student section one more time in a football game where I really don't belong now. But we're gonna keep going, and that's kind of what we do in Young Life.